I'm doing a series on comfort food because we all need to be comforted these days. Another comfort food is ramen. However, ramen is just one of those foods that often strikes people as being junk food. It's broth with just some, I don't know, refined noodles, carbohydrates. But what if we could make it high in protein and pack a punch with nutrients? So that's what we're going to make today. And not only that, if we use these particular noodles that are high in protein, and they're gluten-free also, we can make the entire pot in 10 minutes. It's over, it's done with. We don't have to cook the noodles in a separate pot, drain them, add them to the broth. Can all be done in one fell swoop in a single pot. So what we're going to be doing today is using a bean noodle. There's different varieties. I have an edamame spaghetti here. There's also an edamame and mung bean fettuccine. You can use whatever style you like of noodle that's long that you can slurp up. You can put whatever you like in it. It doesn't have to be what I've got out here. So let's get started. I'm going to start out with a bunch of garlic. We want a lot of garlic in this. You can make it as garlicky as you like. You can adjust it depending on whether you're making it for one person or an entire family. In Japan, ramen is not only comfort food, it's something that people often have at the end of a long day of going to work and then going out drinking, and it's 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, you're headed home and you need a little fortification. So you stop at a little ramen stand and you slurp down a bowl of noodles. So it's oftentimes that thing that you end the day with. It's hard to get vegan ramen in Japan. It does exist. There are more and more places offering vegan ramen, but traditionally it's made with a lot of meat in the broth, pork, sometimes fish, etc. So you have to be careful if you're in Japan looking for vegan ramen. It does exist. All right, so I'm just making one portion. So I'm guessing I have about 4 cloves of garlic, and that's probably enough, but I might want to add more because I like my miso garlic, my spicy miso garlic ramen, really, really garlicky. So I just spent a month in Japan. I led a vegan tour for 2 weeks, and then I went to visit my son and my grandkids for another 10 days or so. And the vegan tour was fantastic. And we went to all of these places off the beaten track, learning about different kinds of food. We went to a lotus root farm and learned how they harvest lotus roots from these bogs. It was really interesting. We went to see how soy sauce was made in this ancient facility where they had these large wooden vats that they've been using for over 100 years to make soy sauce. And those large wooden vats are full of all that wonderful bacteria, so they don't add anything to the fermentation. The vats themselves do it. We learned how to make miso. We learned how to make udon noodles. Oh my God, I gotta do an episode on udon noodles because traditionally the way they got that elasticity was by stepping on the noodles. It's like stomping on grapes. You stomp on udon noodles, which is so interesting. We learned to make sake. We had a sake tasting. I had no idea that sake had so many different flavors. Some had the citrus notes, others tasted like green apples. There was even a smoky one. So it was really, really fascinating. Gosh, we learned so much about traditional fermented Japanese foods, but we didn't have any ramen on the trip. So I'm making up for it by making ramen for you right now. All right, so I just went down to the garden and I picked this funny thing that looks like onions, but it's not. It's called native Creole. And if you smell it, it's like green garlic. It's really interesting. I made a bunch of ravioli with this, but I'm gonna put this also in my ramen. All right, so I'm just making enough just for myself today. Gonna go ahead and add about 2 cups of veggie broth. Now this is a vegan chicken broth. I really like that flavor. You could do a mushroom broth, you could do vegetable broth, whatever you want. Go ahead and do that. I'm gonna add a couple of tablespoons of soy sauce to this. And of course, the garlic is so important. So in goes the garlic. I have shiitake mushrooms. So we're gonna bring this to a simmer. I'm gonna put a lid on it As I mentioned before, you can go with a different type of noodle. So you're not limited to a spaghetti shape or a ramen style of thin noodle. This cooks in 3 to 3.5 minutes. I don't need to cook this separately because there's no starch that's going to thicken up the broth. I'm going to go ahead and add my Creole grass. Okay, I'm going to throw some kale in there. I got a little bit of spinach also from the garden. Get that in there. Oh, there's little kale flowers, sort of like broccoli. And we're just going to cook that until the noodles are cooked. Those noodles are about ready. They're chewy. I like them chewy. I'm going to turn off the heat now. And now I'm going to add the miso, about a tablespoon or so. And you turn the heat off to really preserve all the flavor of the miso. Going to add a little bit of sesame oil. Make it spicy with some of this chili crunch garlicky thing. If it's not garlicky enough, you can add another clove of garlic. I'm going to give it a taste. That's pretty tasty. That is pretty tasty. All right, let me put it in a bowl and we'll give it the final taste test. Oh my God, the aromas wafting from this bowl of ramen. I can smell the miso and the garlic, and I've got to take a taste because it just smells so good. And these, I got to admit, these bean noodles have just come a long way. I remember when they first came out and they were barely edible, and they're actually really good now. And these are kind of chewy, just like good ramen noodles should be. So, let me give it a taste. You heard the slurp, right? You can't eat ramen without slurping. If you did that in Japan, people would think you weren't enjoying your food. So, always slurp your ramen. There's a great movie called Tampopo, which means dandelion, by Juzo Itami Juzo in Japanese. And it's really, really funny. It's called a ramen western. It's all about this woman who's on a quest to make the best bowl of ramen in the world. And it's hilarious. But there's a funny scene where there's some very polite-looking, cultured Japanese young girls that are at a restaurant, and they're learning, it's an Italian restaurant, they're learning how to eat spaghetti without making a noise. And they're taught how to twirl it around the fork and eat it delicately and not slurping. And then off in the corner is a Japanese man, and he's eating all of a sudden the girls are disturbed because there's a Japanese man sitting in the corner and he's slurping his spaghetti very, very loudly. So in Japan, you slurp your noodles. Be sure to make your noise. Otherwise, how is the cook to know that it tastes good? All right, here I go. So good. So good. High protein miso ramen. It's from my cookbook, the Vegan Meat Cookbook. Oh yeah, the broth is so good too. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me on another episode of The Vegan Good Life with Miyoko. And we'll see you again next time. But be sure to check out my new book. It's available for pre-order, The Vegan Creamery. Available at all booksellers.